and welcome back to the channel. Mr. Acolyte here, coming at you with a bit of a different video today. It's been a little while since Dizzy came out. She's been out for a couple weeks now, along with the Season 4 patch. And this is obviously, if you follow my channel at all, you know this is a character that I've been very, very excited for, but I am actually not playing her in this version of the game, hence the title of this video. And it's a question that I get a lot, so I thought I would go ahead and just break down my thoughts on how I feel about Dizzy and let you guys basically know why I've decided not to main her in Guilty Gear Strive. So before we get into the actual breakdown, let me first start off by saying that this is by no means my way of like complaining or saying that I think Dizzy is bad. I definitely don't. I don't think that she's bad or poorly designed. It's really more of just like a personal take. It's a lot of like personal reasons, and I'm going to get into all those reasons here very soon. But so yeah, just keep in mind this has nothing to do with her strength in the game. I honestly think that she has a lot of potential. But enough about that, let's go ahead and jump into the breakdown. So to get the breakdown started, let's go ahead and briefly cover what tools she does have, and I'll give you my thoughts as we go through those. I think the best place to start would be with what is, I would consider her main move in this version of the game, which would be the Ice Pillar. So the Ice Pillar, I actually like what they did with it in this game. The fact that it freezes on hit and then you get this whole system of freezing the floor. This right here basically is the whole character. Like, this is what they want her to revolve around. The whole idea of when an opponent is frozen, you get the choice of do you want to reset them and go into Oki from there? Or do you want to activate the ice and trigger that Oki? Do you want to let the ice keep going and potentially get another knockdown while it's hard for them to move, but easy for you to move? There's really a lot that can come from this. And I do think that this being the focus of her kit is pretty cool overall. And I would say it's probably the most interesting thing about her in general. Next up is the fish. So she retained the ice fish. So the ice fish in this game, you call it out, it tracks the opponent, and it goes in for a singular bite. This move is used for a whole lot of her kit. It is a neutral tool, sometimes a block string tool, and it is frequently her Oki tool. This is like the whole idea of her Oki. Every time she gets a knockdown, you get to go for the fish, and you get all sorts of different things you can do here, from throw setups to cross-ups and just straight up pressure from there. And of course, she also has an air version, which acts as an anti-air. And yes, you can do both at the same time, which is also really neat. Next up is the Flame Missile. This one is a classic move. In this version of the game, it comes out really fast, has activation on startup, and it's actually plus. So if you've seen this move at all, this is like her go-to up close special move. Anytime you're up close, this just creates a situation where you can go for a throw, you can keep your turn with a poke. It's just like an instant pressure starter, and it does have sort of a pseudo loop to it. And it's interesting how you can combine it with the ice floor to create sort of like a corner situation mid-screen. Next up, of course, we got to talk about Michael's Sword, the inherited move from her mom. This move is just the all-in-one neutral skip anti-zoning one. You have the slash version, which is fast and covers the range in front of you. And then you have the heavy slash version, which is almost full screen, and on hit, especially on counter hit, leads to some really big damage, really big combos. It's pretty awesome that she has this move, since, you know, there's a lot of lore implications to it, and just what it does for her kit is really nice. It's good for her to have such a clear-cut block string ender, which is something that she didn't really have as well in Exard. And just like they showed off in the trailers, it's incredibly good against any sort of like zoning from the opponent. It's crazy good in that situation. And last but not least, of course, we have to talk about the true showstopper, Wings of Light. Now, in case you've been living under a rock and you don't know, this move caused a lot of controversy before the character came out, just due to the way it's set up. In case you don't know somehow, You input this move whenever you have a little bit of meter, and she will put the wings on, and as long as she does not take any direct damage, a timer will tick down, and once it does, the wings will activate and they will do massive damage to the opponent as long as you have meter. So I'm in training mode, so my meter is infinite, but your health goes down insanely fast, and this is unblockable damage. So you can almost kill somebody if you have 100% meter. This, I believe, is what they want to be the crux of her kit. Because of the fact that when you put everything together, the ice floor makes it hard for people to approach you. So you have that factor. The ice fish lets you basically throw loop as long as you want. This creates a very strong throw loop that's very, very hard to get out of. And then, as we already said, the fire missile can just lock people in place and forces RPS. So when you put all those things together, Dizzy in this game is set up to just kind of be on your block for a long time, or to keep you away from her for a long time. And both of those things kind of go into this. So I believe what they really want you to do is any one of those situations we just talked about while setting up Wings of Light. That's what they want her kit to revolve around. Okay, so with that, we have covered the basics of her kit. So now we can go ahead and talk about the reasons why I don't feel like actually maining this character, even though going over her kit, I had a lot of positive things to say. That's what makes this so difficult. That's why this is so complicated. It's not just one thing, it is a lot of things. It's kind of like a lot of little things. Some things are pretty big, but I think the best way to really break it down is to also break down what Dizzy had before. And what better way to do that than to jump on over to the GOAT, Guilty Gear Exard. So I've gone ahead and pulled up Dizzy here, and I think this will be the easiest way to get my point across. Let's just go ahead and compare her kit to the one that we just looked at. So starting off with her Ice Pillar, it is similar to Strive, but also very different. Obviously, she cannot freeze the floor in this one, but it pops out very fast, and in this game, it doesn't technically freeze them, it launches them. If you hit it at neutral and you have meter, you do get a combo for this, and it sort of starts up your Oki. Now, this is immediately where the differences really start to pile up, like right away. So a big thing in her Exard version of herself is that for every move that she has with Undine, she also has one with Necro. So she has the Ice Pillar with Undine, but she also has a Fire Pillar with Necro. And the Fire Pillar was designed to just do more damage and be more of your block string poke, whereas the Ice was for the launch in the YRC, as we showed before. So keep that in mind, because that's going to be the case for almost all of her moves going forward with this version of the character. Next up, the Ice Fish. So this one you're going to see right away. It's very different. I'll just let it speak for itself here. So right away, you can just see that how much different that is from the Strive version. So in this version, it still targets the opponent similar to Strive, but as you can see, it does 2 bites. So it gives you a lot more time to set up pressure, and that's only the K version. There's also the P version, which looks like this. So as you can see, the P version, which was the most popular version, does a total of 3 bites. This was obviously very, very powerful because anytime you got a knockdown, this gave really, really good Oki due to the fact that the opponent had to deal with 3 bites. And obviously, you could poke in between them. You could go for different kinds of mix-ups. You could go for throws. You got a lot out of the fact that the fish did 3 bites. And going back to Strive briefly, there's something that I wanted to highlight about the fish that's also very, very important. You can see if I call out the fish here and the opponent attacks, we both get hit at the same time, basically negating it. However, this is not at all the case in the Exard version. As you can see, the fish will shield you from 1 strike, giving you a lot of utility to be able to move with your fish and set up other attacks, giving you a lot of utility once you get this out on the screen. So keeping the comparisons going, next up is the Flame Spear. As you can see, it's similar, but also very different. So the biggest difference with this one is that it's a lot slower, meaning that it definitely does not work the same way as it does jailing the opponent and forcing them to block it. This one is used a lot differently. It's used very well at neutral as sort of like a check because the homing is very, very good. But the biggest key usage that you would see for it when playing Dizzy in this game would again be for Oki, because the biggest difference between her in this game and Strive that you're going to see throughout this is that she just had way more Oki options than she does in Strive back in this game. So in this game, one of the key uses of the Fire Spear was you would get a knockdown, put out the Fire Spear, and then just from that right there, you had a lot of options. Because if you did that right there, you could IAD over them, and that would make a very ambiguous cross-up. Or you could just let the spear play out and set up some of your other options. So as you can see, things would get kind of crazy really quickly just due to the way that spear has that much delay and that much block stun on it. Oh yeah, and also you could charge it. And that about does it for moves that we can directly compare. So from here on out, these are just going to be moves that are flat out not in Strive. So right off the bat, we were just talking about the Flame Spear. She also in this version has an Ice Spear. Remember, as I said before, they really leaned into like the good and evil, you know, Undine and Necro variants of each move. So just like she has the Flame Spear, she also has the Ice Spear. The Ice Spear is similar. It just does not have as much block stun, but it comes out a lot faster. And in my experience, it had a little bit better tracking. So this one, you would do a lot more at neutral, but this is really good on Oki too for the same reason. If you set it up, it could be very ambiguous and even kind of more cheap. And this was a little bit like higher level of a thing. You could call it early to the point where it wouldn't even hit, and you could start baiting people's reversals and you could bait out their blitz. Next up is a huge one. I know a lot of people were upset that this wasn't in the game, myself being one of them. And again, keeping in line with things being similar, just how she has the Ice Fish in this game, and in Strive, she also had the Flame Fish. This one would just come out and straight out shoot a beam. So this was obviously good for many reasons. You could just keep people away while you set things up, or you could use it to get in. And then of course, I feel like I'm repeating myself, it was great for Oki for a number of reasons. And just like the Ice Fish, the Flame Fish would take a hit for you as well. And even better, the Flame Fish actually has its own shield variant. If you use the Dust version, it'll put out a Shield Fish, and the shield one won't just block, it'll also counter attack for you, which was really awesome. This move not being in Strive, I can understand. I know a lot of people have said it would probably be too strong in that game, and I kind of agree. A move like this, if you combine it with what she already has been given in the game, it's probably because of Wings of Light. If she had Wings of Light and she could keep you at bay with literal lasers, she probably would be broken. And I should note that similar to how the Ice Fish can go up, the Flame Fish in this one can go up. So if you want to stop people from jumping, or you just want to fake them out, you can send the Flame Fish up to kind of patrol the skies. And you use that a bit in some of your combo routes too. Next up are the wheels. So these moves did not make it into Strive either. She has two different wheels. She has the Flame Wheel and the Ice Wheel. So both of these, they're kind of like nebulous moves. I'll be honest, these are two moves that I don't really miss that much. They had very sort of like weird use cases in this game. They're mostly for anti-airs and block strings. Basically, this is kind of what Michael's Sword replaced, because you would use this at this sort of range to like kind of stop people from jumping, or if you could get it out in certain instances, you would use it in your block strings, because if you YRC'd it, it would still come out very late, so that made it very good for block string pressure. Pretty decent moves. They weren't like my favorite or my most used moves, to be honest, so the fact that they didn't come back, I'm not that heartbroken about. However, the polar opposite is this next upcoming move. If you're a Dizzy fan, you probably already know what I'm going to say. This is the big one. The fact that this is not here, this is one of the single biggest reasons and probably my biggest disappointment, and that is, of course, the bubbles. Dizzy, if you know anything about this character, this is a big core part of her character in general. So in case you don't know, anytime she is airborne, you can output one of these bubbles. And of course, at high level, of course, you're going to just TK it every time. It is a air move only, so you have to TK it. But the point is, when you put out this bubble, you can control where it goes. It's either gonna go straight, or you can hold down and it'll go down. So you have a lot of different uses for it. So as you can see, it doesn't actually do anything on its own. However, if you attack it, it will pop. So what this did was this just added so much to her game. I can't even stress like how much this added to her overall game. This is good for her block strings. This was amazing on Oki, and it was amazing on neutral, because if you add in all the things that we were just showing off and then you have this on top of it, you can even do stuff like this, where you put the bubble out and then backdash away and pop it. And if someone was trying to rush you down, which is what people would usually do to Dizzy, you should probably see what this looks like on hit. If this hits on just normal hit, it launches. So you would get entire combos from this. And keep in mind that Dizzy is a character that people are constantly chasing, so getting a knockdown, setting something up, and then having a bubble to like pressure and mix up with. Not even that, you could have other things pop it as well, such as the wheels or even the fish. So as you can see, I'm sure just with just a little bit of imagination, you can see if you put all this stuff together, it led to some really insane neutral and mix-up potential. It's crazy. And the fact that she doesn't have this in Strive is kind of heartbreaking, I'm not gonna lie. I've mostly been showing off the P version, but she does have the K version as well. This one works the same, but it's on a delay. So you do the K version, after you make contact with it, it'll pop like a second later. This again added many more layers to your Oki and your pressure and all that good stuff. Going back to Strive again, the funny thing is, it seems like they kind of wanted to at least do like an homage to it, because if you do jump dust, you do this. And as you can see, I mean, from everything that we just looked at, I feel like this right here summarizes the video. Like this right here, it's not the bubble and it's nowhere near it. It's kind of like a reference. It serves a similar purpose because it stays on the screen and it shields her and lets her, you know, set up for a second. But as you can see, it's nowhere near the same kind of like fun utility that the actual bubbles offered in previous games. And last but not least, I feel it is time that we finally acknowledge the elephant in the room. I'm sure if you are a Dizzy player, you already know what I'm gonna say. This one is huge, and I'm not sure what the excuse is, but this is the big one. So this cascades into literally everything. So I'm just gonna do it right here, right now. That right there. You probably, if you're a Dizzy player, you already know where I'm going with this. If you're new to Dizzy, you'll probably be like, huh, what the hell is this guy talking about? Let's jump back to Exard real quick. So, one of the biggest things about Dizzy's entire kit in this game, out of all the things we just showed you, is her air dash. And that is the fact that she is a double air dash character. That's right. Always has been, always will be. And this was a huge, massive part of her game. The fact that she does not have this anymore is just so massive. So in case you don't know, this led to just about everything. So remember before how we were talking about the potential mix-ups of doing stuff like this and air dashing? Well, the fact that she had a double air dash meant that you could get really nasty with the mix-ups because of the fact that she can double air dash. There were just so many different variations that you could do of that. You could fake it, going left to right. You can do double left to right. And just this utility right here of being able to air dash twice and land on somebody with multiple buttons is just so strong, even if you don't have stuff on the screen. And on the subject of air mobility, I definitely should mention another thing that she has here that she does not have in Strive, is the ability to do her special moves in the air. Her fish can all be done while airborne, ice, and fire, even the shield if you want to just cover yourself. So again, if you just put all of this together, it leads to a whole bunch of creativity with this character. Especially if you start putting together like everything that we talked about, like her mix-up potential just gets so crazy. So if you take all that, you compare it to her Oki and Strive, you can definitely see that something is missing. So all of that is to say, basically, I just prefer the way that Dizzy used to play compared to how she plays now. I hope that by showing you all these examples side by side, it kind of gets that point across in a way that makes a lot of sense. I don't want it to come off as just like, oh, she's different than she was, so you just automatically don't like her. I don't feel like that's the case. I just feel like the things that I enjoyed about playing Dizzy just aren't there. My favorite aspect of Dizzy was her zoning and her set play, and she still does have aspects of the zoning, and she still does have aspects of the set play, but I just don't get the same feeling that I got from playing her in the previous versions, just due to the fact that, as you can see, her options are much more limited in Strive as compared to Exard, and that's most likely due to Wings of Light. I would have preferred if they would have left her more similar to how she is, where she's just a zoner who, if she gets that knockdown, you know, it's mix-up time. That's the kind of character that I really enjoyed playing in Exard for all those years, and honestly, she's the character that got me hooked on that kind of playstyle, so I would have liked to see her come back to that. That's just the way it works when characters come back from the past. Sometimes they come back and you enjoy them, and other times they come back and you end up playing somebody else. But either way, that is gonna bring us to the end of the video. Thanks so much for listening. This is my first time doing a video like this where I'm just, you know, kind of rambling off the cuff, doing like a side-by-side comparison with an old character and a new character. I've never really done anything like this before. So yeah, be sure to let me know what you guys think. You know, am I crazy? Like, did I just, you know, suck it up and play Dizzy anyway? Or can you see where I'm coming from? What do you think? Like, like if you're an old Dizzy player, do you like the new Dizzy? Do you prefer her more? Do you miss the old one? Are you a brand new Dizzy? Like, what did you think of seeing the old one? Definitely let me know in the comments below. I'd be really curious to see what you guys think about all this. If you could leave a like on the video, I really do appreciate it because it does help out a lot. Upcoming, I'm going to be doing a lot more matches. I want to do some match reviews for this game, but there haven't been any tournaments yet at the time of me recording this. So the next time a major rolls around, I'll definitely do some match reviews for this game because I'd love to see what happens with the patch. And I'm also in the process of making a beginner's guide for this game and an Asuka guide, because sadly I am not a Dizzy main anymore, but I am a very proud Wizard player now. I have joined the Wizard gang, and I'm very happy as an Asuka enjoyer, so keep an eye out for the Asuka guide coming very soon, as well as a beginner's guide if you're just interested in jumping into Guilty Gear in any capacity. But as always, I really appreciate you guys. Thanks so much for listening. Y'all have a good one, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.